Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around, I'm talking about a movie I saw today. And to be fair, I'm still digesting that movie. There's a lot in it. I don't know how I feel about the ending, but I can't talk about the ending because that'll be a spoiler. It's 28 years later. And I was thinking about this while I was watching it. It's the best in the series. Yeah, the first one was groundbreaking. It set up the premise of the rage virus, ravaging its way through England and turning people into either fast zombies, well, not fast zombies, but fast infected people who become violent and cannibalistic, or else slow crawling creatures, which by the 28th year are crawling across the ground, corpulent, sucking up worms for their food when they can't get anything else, but slowly crawling their way across the landscape. And the camera isn't quite centered there. Why did I not notice that? As the title suggests, the movie takes place 28 years after the rage virus takes over England, Scotland, and Wales. Continental Europe's got rid of it, and there is a military and naval blockade of the entire island to protect the rest of the world from this infection. On the island of Lindisfarne, off the east coast of England, which is joined to the mainland by a tidal causeway, a community has formed of people just surviving and making forays onto the mainland for resources, mostly wood, and then coming back to the island and living on their fortified island. The culture has changed. We see a little bit at the start of the movie from the 2002 outbreak of the rage virus, which pays off at the end of the film in a way that I can't tell you about without being a total asshole. And that bit at the start involves the Teletubbies, which is why I've got the thumbnail I've got on the video. So you've got this little island basically fortified against the rest of England, there are a lot of parallels to Brexit in this movie. England is separated from the rest of Europe, and this little island is separated from the rest of England. And the little island has an English flag flying on a mast. And the Brexit parallels are quite obviously there. The script was written by Alex Garland, and of course the movie was directed by Danny Boyle. And on this island is a 12-year-old boy called Spike, who lives with his father, Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and his mother, Isla, played by Jodie Comer. And his mother is almost bedridden. She's got a disease nobody can diagnose because there aren't any doctors on the island. And the disease makes her forgetful. It leaves her with no energy at times, and at other times she functions pretty much normally. Spike is very worried about her. He loves his mum. He's very worried about her. He looks after her as best he can. And the kid playing Spike is fantastic in this. His name's Alfie Williams, and he has a lot of the emotional burden of this movie on his little shoulders. And the kid does a fantastic job of it. He plays a very, very grounded kid living in a monstrous environment. His father, Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character, Jamie, is teaching him how to be a hunter. He's learning how to use a bow and arrow, and there are a lot of parallels, of course, to Henry V, particularly the Laurence Olivier Henry V. We get little snippets of that movie thrown in at the start of this film, along with stock footage of England at various times with a primitive industrial base. There's a lot of other materials thrown into this film to give us the idea that this small community is somehow functioning. They have fishermen, they have people who take care of crops, they've got teachers, they've got weavers, they've got carpenters. They've basically gone back to a near medieval functioning community. And because Jamie is 12, he has a rite of passage. And this rite of passage is a big deal for the community. He has to go to the mainland with his father and kill one of the infected. And because that is his perceived destiny, to become a hunter, one of the people who protects the community from the infected, and one of the people who goes to the mainland across this tidal causeway in order to bring back resources for the community. And it's fairly obvious quite from the start that Jamie is a brutal man. He seems very impatient with his wife's illness, and he's very able to compartmentalize killing the zombies and becoming a hunter with living in a community. There's a very, very damaged part of this man But young Spike is a more sensitive person. He's as much his mother's kid as his father's. And so they go out and find some crawling infected, and Spike gets blooded by killing one of them. There's a rule: you shoot him in the heart, you shoot him in the head, or you shoot him in the neck to break their carotid artery, and they bleed out. And there's quite a tense scene where in the forest, Jamie and Spike both kill crawling zombies. But then they draw the attention of the fast zombies, and there's a new kind of fast zombie out there called an alpha, which is larger and much more of a bullet sponge and more of an arrow sponge than your standard fast zombie. They can take a few shots. They're incredibly strong. They've got dicks like a baby's arm, and they are incredibly dangerous and more intelligent than the other infected. And as the story plays out, both forms of infected people can reproduce, and that then becomes another issue further into the movie. Jamie and Spike do the blooding, have to hide from the fast zombies in an old cottage. There's an enormous stampede of wild deer that goes through the area. There's some quite stunning visuals of an England that for 28 years has been left to go wild. While they're hiding from the zombies in this cottage, Spike sees a fire in the distance, and his father tells him not to go there, that's a bad place, don't go there. And that is because of something that Jamie has seen 15 years before, that he has radically misinterpreted. So Jamie and Spike come back to the island, and there's a big celebration. It's a coming of age, it's a manhood ritual for Spike. And Jamie talks him up at this big party they have where there's lots of beer, and people sing Delilah for some reason. I think it's a football-related thing. But Spike knows that there are a couple of times when he didn't overcome his fear, and his arrows went astray when he was shooting at the fast zombies. And he's feeling bad about that because he's disappointed his father. And during the party, Spike sees his father going off with another woman. And he confronts him about this, and his father hits him. Now, that's the bit that was difficult for me because that's my history. I got hit by my father a lot. And so if you are at all sensitive to that kind of an interaction between a father and a son, just beware of it while you're watching the movie. Spike talks to an older member of the community who is looking after his mother while they're away. And he finds out that the light that they saw, the fire they saw in the distance, was actually lit by a doctor, a guy called Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes. And so Spike finds a way to get his mother and himself off the island so they can find this doctor, even though his father has said he's an evil man. He isn't, but something that Jamie saw 15 years ago suggested to Jamie that he was an evil man. Maybe he was projecting his own internal evilness. And so he goes on this quest to find this doctor. And in the meantime, they encounter an alpha. They find a pregnant infected woman, and they get to the doctor, and the end of the movie plays out in a way I'm not going to tell you about. The thing that the doctor has done, which has been misinterpreted, is he's created a memento mori for the dead, and almost like a bonehenge to commemorate and recognize that everybody dies and that a lot of people have died because of this virus. It's a really interesting character. I mean, there's some extraordinary things about this movie. First off, the script is great. The fact that it's a coming-of-age story for a young kid is another one. You expect we expect a very different story for a zombie movie than a coming-of-age story for a kid living in a very weird community. But it is. And it is a kid coming to terms with the world in which he lives. And I really like that part of it. The movie is definitely left open for a sequel. And one of the other things I find weird, I don't necessarily find it good or bad, but I just find it weird. Most of the movie was filmed on iPhone 15 Pro Maxes, for reasons that were basically that they wanted to give it that granular look, that grainy look that the first movie had, because the first movie was filmed on quite low resolution digital cameras. And so they filmed these on iPhone 15 Pros. I don't know whether it's to the movie's advantage or not. There are bits where they've had to digitally zoom the footage because they filmed it on a phone, basically. And that graininess works against what they're showing you in some ways. And I find that a little bit problematic. But the acting is terrific in this. Every single actor does a magnificent job. Ralph Fiennes is great playing the Doctor. Alfie Williams is just exceptional playing Spike. And if that kid doesn't get an award and a fantastic career, if he wants it, I think there's an injustice there. Jodie Comer, who's my favourite Scouse actress, playing very much against type as the mother Isla, is good. She plays the mental confusion and the illness and at times the clarity and the love of the character extremely well. She does a very good job in a very, very complex role. The world building, production design, all that stuff is there. There are a few jump scares, but for some reason, even though they are jump scares, they're not the kind of jump scares that give you the shits after a while. They seem to be very pointed toward the action rather than just being there to make the audience jump around. It's more part of the storytelling than it is smart-ass directing. Alex Garland and Danny Boyle do a fantastic job on the script and the direction. The world of this movie is, for me, really great. I mean, I'm kind of over zombie stories, to be honest with you. And even though these guys aren't zombies specifically, they're infected humans whose DNA is being rapidly mutated and they're rapidly evolving into something different. I'm very over standard zombie narratives, which are more about how wonderful the survivors are. And a lot of zombie narratives lean heavily into that survivalist American headspace, which I don't particularly like. This movie doesn't. The ending is controversial, and I won't do spoilers on the ending, but where Spike goes and the people he encounters at the end of the movie are very, very controversial. I don't know what the next movie, and there's going to be a next movie, it's already in pre-production. I don't know what the next movie is going to do with those characters and the way they're presented, but I think they're going to have to walk a very slack tightrope over a very big abyss to land it in the next movie. There's a challenge there that is quite daunting, I think, for the people making the next movie. I think Nia DaCosta is making the next one. Let me just double check that for us. Yeah, Nia DaCosta is set to direct the next movie. That'll be kind of interesting. They're planning a trilogy of these films. So there'll be the first movie, which was 28 Days Later, and then there was 28 Weeks Later, which are together. And then there's this one and 2 sequels that they're planning. I think they're going to be able to make them because this one's doing fairly well at the box office and it's getting a lot of good buzz with audiences, with that proviso about the ending, which I would love to tell you about, but I can't. So just to summarize in this film, check it out. If you're a horror movie buff, you're going to see it. Try not to get any spoilers. I deliberately didn't watch a number of reviews of this movie before I saw it, though I seem to be cutting my own throat by telling you not to look at reviews. I think I've threaded the needle on this one to give you enough to tell you the story, but not enough to spoil it, hopefully. Had a good time watching it. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen this year. So check it out if you've seen the first 2 movies. The second one wasn't that great, but if you've seen the first 2 movies, you're going to see this one, you're going to enjoy it. It's good. It's worthwhile. Spend your money, see it. So that's what I got for you this time around. Just one movie this time. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you've seen the movie, tell me what you thought of the ending without doing a spoiler for other people reading the comments. Please try to avoid that. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies. Over on the other channel, I'm continuing my walk from Werribee to Melbourne, and I'm most of the way there so far. I've actually walked most of the way to Melbourne from Werribee. I've done about 28 kilometres so far, so you can watch that. And over on this channel, you've got Science Fiction Saturday coming up at the end of the week, and that's always a banger. So until all of that happens, and while I rest my weary feet, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Check out 28 Years Later. I think you'll enjoy it, and I'll catch you next time.